Wanna go see what Dad's doing? Wanna go get Dad? Should we go get Dad? Let's go get Dad. Wanna go get Dad? Go get him! Go get him! Here, get down! Get down! Ooh. Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. As you can see, Bub is busy today. He's got his hands full mowing the yard. So while he's doing that, I thought I would take some time and talk a little bit about what it's been like to learn to ride a motorcycle as an older adult. Now, for a lot of you, I realize age is a matter of perspective. If you're in your 30s, I'm probably old. If you're in your 70s, I'm probably still a spring chicken. For me, I look at it in the context of horseback riding because that's something I've done my whole life. I started riding horses competitively, jumpers, when I was about 16 and rode pretty much until we hit the road full time. And I know that over the course of years of riding horses, there has been a noticeable difference in things like my reflexes and perception reaction and things like that. I also know that when I was in my teens and 20s and screwed up and hit the ground, I just kind of bounced off of it and got back up. Versus in my 40s, if I screwed up and hit the ground, it hurt and I tended to injure or break something. So I know there's a difference between learning something when you're young and when you're older. So I was wondering just how possible it was going to be for me to learn how to ride a motorcycle, because I know you definitely have to have your wits about you and be on your game. One of the things I did was I went online and looked up some different riding channels on YouTube. One in particular I like was Moto Jitsu. Not only is he in San Diego, I enjoy the scenery of his instruction, and it gives me a little taste of home every time I watch him, but he has some really good advice on there. And of course, the one thing you hear over and over and over again is take the motorcycle safety course. Now, here in Arkansas, that's easier said than done. There aren't many in the state available, and the ones you do find have a really long waiting list. So from the time that we hatched this plan of traveling around on bikes to the time I was actually able to get into a class was about 3 months. Now, the good thing about that delay was it gave me a chance to research getting my motorcycle endorsement on my driver's license. As you all know, we're full-time RVers. We're domiciled out of South Dakota. So that gave me time to call to South Dakota and talk to them about what they required. They told me as long as I had a certificate that I had passed a motorcycle safety class that was endorsed by the Motorcycle Safety Foundation, all I had to do was show up in South Dakota, present the certificate, take the eye test, and they would add the endorsement to my license. That class satisfies the state's testing requirements, so that was good to know. The other thing is I had a year from the date of completing the class to get that up to South Dakota to get the endorsement on my license. The timing of it worked out pretty well because my license was coming up due to be renewed anyways. So in August, we got on the bikes and we rode them 1,100 miles each way to Rapid City, got my license endorsement, got my license renewed, and rode back. So that was our first really big road trip on the bikes, and it was a great test for me because I encountered everything you can imagine: construction zones, weather, wind, rain, thunder, lightning, huge trucks, all kinds of stuff that was maybe a little terrifying at first, but it was a great experience. So while I was waiting for my class, I had already purchased my bike. One of the things was everybody I talked to had said this bike, a V-Strom 650, was an awfully big bike to be learning on for the first time. And it is. It was funny though, because after riding it around here and getting used to it, when I went to my class, they put me on a Honda Rebel there. And it felt like one of those little clown bikes. You see them in the circus. These big guys on these little tiny bicycles, and their knees are up to their chin. And that's what it felt like riding that little Honda Rebel after riding this bike, especially because I'm so tall. But it was great for confidence building. It was small, it was lightweight, and you felt like you could really try anything on it. And if you screwed up, the consequences weren't going to be horrendous. So it was a really good confidence builder. The other thing too was when I showed up and took the classroom part of the class at the Harley dealership up in Fort Smith, there was a lady in there. She didn't learn to ride until she was 58 years old, and she's been going gangbusters ever since. So of course that experience of talking to people of a similar age that are just learning for the first time and knowing they were successful at it kind of was a little bit of a confidence booster too, that, well, if they can do that, I can do it, right? So I started out here at home, and I know everybody says find a big, wide open parking lot, and that's what a lot of people that I watched on YouTube had done, their apartment or business down the street or whatever, and just practice in that parking lot. Well, unfortunately, where we are here in Arkansas right now, the nearest parking lot that would be suitable for something like that is about 18 miles away. So that would mean I'd have to get out and ride on the highway for quite a distance just to go somewhere to practice. Right now, not a problem. I feel comfortable riding the bike all over the place. But back when I was first starting, big problem. It's like I did not feel comfortable riding the bike on the highway. I did a couple of times have Bubba ride it somewhere for me, and I'd follow in the car. And then I'd practice and then have him ride it back. But mostly I started out in our back field. The very one he's mowing right now was where I started riding the bike. So that was good. It was a safe, contained area. The ground was soft in case I screwed up and fell over, which I did a couple of times. And then we have a burn pile and a tree out there. They kind of made nice natural areas to practice circles around. And then there's a little bit of a slope to it, so I had to accelerate up the hill, and then it would get a little speed going down the hill. It gave me a little work on throttle control, so that was all a good thing. When I was ready to graduate from the field and try something a little bit more, I have two choices here. One is the state highway. 55, 60 miles an hour, big trucks, logging trucks. That was a no-go for me right off the bat. I didn't want to tempt fate by trying to practice on the highway. The other one is the county road out the other side of the house. And it's paved for a little bit and then turns into dirt and gravel. But it's not very well traveled. Maybe on the weekends you get the off-roaders that go through there, but there's not much traffic. And it turned out to be a good place to travel, just riding back and forth. So once I got more and more comfortable with that, I found some other back roads that I could get to that way, where I could just kind of gradually work my speed up. First a 25 mile an hour road, and I remember doing 25 or 30 on the bike for the first time, thinking, I am never gonna get comfortable at highway speeds on this. It just felt like I was flying. But like they say, the more you do it, the easier it gets. And so then I found a road back there where we had some paved sections of it, and we could get up to 45 miles an hour, and there was very little traffic, so it was a good, safe place to practice that. And just building up slowly, a little bit at a time. Now I can get out and go on the highway, and it doesn't bother me. I'm still working on my curves. My corners and my curves are still my weak spot, and only really at speed, the higher speed ones, 50, 60 miles an hour, where you just still sometimes get that sense that your input's coming at you faster than you feel like you can respond to if you need to. But the more practice I get, the better that gets. And I've gotten used to riding with gear on the bike. We've taken a couple of camping trips and ridden with the bikes loaded down. And when we're on the highway, when we're on the pavement, I really don't notice that big of a difference in the bike with the weight on it versus not. Where I have noticed it, this last trip we did, we got onto a couple of gravel roads. And those are the first time I have ridden gravel roads with all the gear on. And when the bike gets dancing around on the gravel, that's where I noticed the weight difference. I could really feel it there. But it wasn't bad. So, all in all, I'd say it's been going well. I would say I feel like it's entirely manageable for somebody who is older to learn how to ride. And my impression so far is it's been a lot of fun. This last trip we did, which we're going to be bringing you very soon, was really enjoyable. It was probably the first trip we've done where I felt like I was just completely relaxed, enjoying the scenery, and wasn't stressing about what I was doing riding the bike. So, all in all, it's coming along, making progress, getting there, and really, really excited about what's coming up in our near future, which we'll be sharing with you very soon. So, with all of that being said, how about we gear up and go for a little ride? Still not thoroughly nuts about this driveway because it's high in the middle and slopes off on the sides. It's kind of weird to ride on. So off there's the field that I was learning in. You can see the tree and the brush pile, good for learning circles. And then this stretch of road here was great for just learning how to shift, just basic, you know, first, second, third, upshift and downshift. And then right here is where the pavement ends, full of potholes. And kind of wind around and dodge the potholes. And they just put fresh gravel down here not too long ago. This was hard for me the first time. It just, because you got this little bridge with no railings, and so the first couple of times I did that was a little nerve-wracking, but now I've done it enough, it doesn't bother me anymore. And then you guys probably remember from previous videos when we have Bubba's sister and her kids that come and they go to the swimming hole. That's right up in there. There's a swimming hole. This is the first stretch I call the Deer Superhighway, because anytime it rains, the mud on the sides of this road, you always see deer prints, and then we've come face to face with deer on this stretch of road many times. There's a lodge back here, like a B&B type of place people can rent and stay. See a lot of side-by-side people there on the weekends. Oh, a squirrel running down the middle of the road. I don't know if you can see him. He's right in front. He's going to get run over is what he's going to do. Trying not to run the poor thing over, and he keeps running right in front of me. So here's the house with the other dog right here. There he is. That's about all he's got in him. He liked chasing the smart car a lot more. Love this little old shack. I'd love to fix that up. It'd be a perfect little house. They used to have a lot of cows out in this field. Not sure where they are anymore. I haven't seen them in a long time. They probably all went to market. Must be feeding time. Now here's the first little stretch of paved road that you hit back here. So this was great just to be able to practice getting a little speed. It doesn't go on for very long, just down around that next corner. Now if you go right here, make sure no one's coming. If you go right across that bridge, there's some neat stuff to see back up in there. But this was the way I generally preferred to go, because from here on to the end now is mostly paved. And so this was kind of, when I was first learning, what I was kind of looking for as far as being able to go a little faster, practice shifting, a few curves. Hopefully that sun's not killing you. I waited till later in the day to come do this because it was so hot. This bridge, better slow down just a hair. That little whoopty at the end, you could get yourself airborne if you weren't paying attention. We're not ready for Evel Knievel maneuvers quite yet. And then this stretch was always fun, because the speed limit goes up and you get a little bit of double yellow line and wider road. And so this was the first chance I had to really try and practice getting the bike up over about 40 miles an hour or so. But then you come up here, the road narrows, your speed limit drops again, so it doesn't last for very long. But it was perfect for practice. And here we are at the end of it. So that was my learning road right there. That was pretty much the only thing I rode for at least a month, I want to say, just back and forth, back and forth. Sometimes I'd go up the other direction over the bridge, but it was really a good place to just to get the feel of the bike and to learn it, to learn to shift. So I hope you enjoyed it. I think the scenery through there is just beautiful. I really enjoy the ride. We're back out at the main highway, and I'm tossed up. I don't know if I'm going to take the highway back to the house or turn around and go back that way, just because it's so pretty and I just really enjoy it. But you have enjoyed this little glimpse into what it took me to learn how to ride anyways, at least so far. I mean, I am still a stone cold beginner. I still have a lot left to learn, but it's coming along. So anyways, we will be bringing you more bike adventures soon, because that's kind of what our focus is right now. We're not done RVing, don't worry, but for the time being we're focusing on the bikes and what we can do on them, and we'll have another camping adventure up shortly. So if you like this, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you again very soon.